Hello, and welcome to Joline Knits A Lot. This is my show about knitting and crafting and all the things I get up to. How are you? I've moved. It's been a rough few weeks. For any of you who have moved recently or in the past, you know it's a big thing. Uprooting everything, taking all your possessions and packing them into boxes and then moving them and then taking them out and trying to find places in your new home for all the things that you have and you love. And it's been a couple of weeks, let me tell you. But I'm here and my craft room is slowly getting set up. We moved last Friday, so it's been just about a week that we've been in our new home. There's nothing on the walls, there's echoes everywhere because there's nothing cushioning the sound. But I've been reunited with my library of knitting books, as well as my stash and my tools for knitting. And so I have a bunch of things that I'd like to share with you here on my desk behind me. So I just wanted to welcome you to Joline Knits A Lot, and also welcome you to our new home here in my craft room / office. I'm so glad you're here. It's May, and here in Edmonton, it's been cold, like real cold, and actually quite rainy, which Edmonton is sort of in the middle of a large farming community, so rain isn't a bad thing. But it did mean that my daughter's soccer game got canceled last night because of rain, and it was cold. It's been not the best month, but everything's green and leafy now. And in my new home, I'm trying to figure out what all the trees are because they're all new to me. So if any of you are real good at trees, let me know. My husband thinks we should get an arborealist to come and have a look just to see the health of the trees. And Blue agrees. So we'll see. It's going to be a while that we're still settling in to our new home. But every day I'm starting to feel more and more settled and more like this is where we are. And Blue agrees. Or there's a squirrel outside. Who can say? So as we start to get settled into our new home, my husband's upstairs working, my daughters are building some IKEA furniture in the basement, and I have a few minutes to talk to you about the things that I've been up to lately. It's been busy, moving, packing, losing sleep. So I haven't actually gotten all that much knitting done, but I have been a few places, and I'd like to share that with you now. So earlier this month, my older daughter, who's a dancer, had a competition in St. Albert. And this competition was very close to a brand new yarn store called Yarn Divas. Yarn Divas is owned by a couple of lovely ladies. It is a fiber and tea emporium. And so not only are there lots of places to sit and knit, but you can buy yourself a beautiful cup of tea and a snack and enjoy the really homey atmosphere that they've been able to develop there in their store. There's a couple of things that really struck me about this store. It's brand new. It only opened about a month ago, but it has managed to have quite a selection of local hand-dyed yarns. And I'll try and insert some pictures here that I took of the store. So local hand-dyed yarns by a number of different local dyers, indie dyers, which I think is great. It's so nice to see them all in one place. There is a decent selection of sort of brand name yarns, including Cascade, and they have a wall of Rama fennel garn. Now this is a yarn that I have been really interested in, but I haven't been able to find it anywhere locally. I could certainly order it from overseas, but some things you just want to pick up and handle and have a look at in person. And that's part of the joy of shopping for yarn. Now, I was speaking to one of the owners and she said they just ordered every color that Rama had to get in stock, and then they were going to see what sells and what doesn't. They have a few different Rama yarns. So not only do they have fennel garn, but they have a couple of different lines of Rama yarn as well. I don't know if you can hear the elves in my basement hammering away. I hope that they're not bothering you. Anyway, I had a great time checking out the Yarn Divas store, and I think I'll be going back again. I wanted to show you a couple of things that I picked up while I was there. So as I said, I've been really interested in Rauma Phenol Garn. This is a sport weight yarn, and it is 175 meters in 50 grams. It's quite a rustic yarn. It is 100% Norwegian wool, and it knits up to about, a sport weight, 24 to 26 stitches in 4 inches or 10 centimeters. I picked up 2 balls of yarn because I thought that would be a great way to test this yarn, and I could make a pair of colorwork mittens. I'm in the market for some mittens. Anyway, I picked up these 2 beautiful shades. One is this sort of pale gray color, and the other is this really pretty berry color. Now you can see the colors are quite tonal, so it's not just one note. They're quite deep, especially this berry one. So I'm excited to give these a try. Really reasonably priced, I think, for yarn that came here from Norway. So I'm excited to give it a try in some colorwork mittens, but I'm also thinking that maybe it would be nice to make a sweater out of this yarn. I like to watch Skein-Deer, the Skein-Deer podcast, who is a Norwegian knitter in London, and she has so many different designs using these yarns. And one of her sort of firm beliefs, I think, is that you can use these yarns with different needle sizes for different gauges, as long as you're getting a fabric that you like and enjoy. So I'm excited to see what I can do with these yarns. I think the first thing will be a pair of mittens, especially to try them out for color work, because I think this yarn will be great for color work. And then I'll see. But just knowing that there's a yarn store that isn't too far away from me that I can go and check out and try more of this Rauma Phenol Garn. I also picked up some needles to try out. I'm a big fan of Lykke needles. I use them a lot. I use the wooden needles, and I have 2 interchangeable sets. One is the long tips that make interchangeable needles from, I think, a 20-inch size and up. So up to 40 or more inches for a circular needle. I also have the shorties. So they're a 3.5 inch tip with shorter cables. So I can make a 16-inch circular needle and up. But Lykke has now come out with some copper needle tips, and I really wanted to try them out, but I didn't want to commit to buying a whole set. So the great thing about Lykke is you can buy the tips. So I bought 2 sets of tips. These are both the 5-inch length. Oh, they're very shiny. I got a 4mm or US size 6. I also got a 4.5mm or US size 7. So I have plans to make a new sweater that I think I'll be trying these out. So not only did I get some needle tips to try out, but I also got some of their new cables. Lykke's cables are quite nice. They're firm, they hold their shape, but they came out with a new set of cables that are that have a swivel on the end. So now as you can see, I picked up 2 sets. And so that means that the needles will swivel on the cable and not get sort of stuck in an awkward position. Does that ever happen to you when you're using a circular needle? The cord sometimes gets bent up a little funny. So I got a 24-inch cord as well as a 40-inch cord. So that with these cords with these 5-inch tips will make either a 24-inch circular needle or a 40-inch circular needle. So I'm looking forward to giving those a try. New things. I do like a nice set of needles, and I have been very happy with my Lykkes. I find that I use them more than any other needle for the sizes that I have. Sometimes I need a smaller needle, like if I'm making socks. I need a fixed circular needle because the size of the needle is just too small. But I am looking forward to giving those a try. Now the lovely ladies at the Yarn Divas gave me a stitch marker, this little crown is sort of their motto, their emblem. So I will be using that with my new needles and yarn. We'll see what I can make. And that's what I've been getting up to. My younger daughter also had a soccer tournament, which she did really well in. We had a dance concert, an end of the year dance concert. We moved. We've had soccer games nearly every night of the week. It's been a very busy time, but it's been a really great time too. I have finished submitting. And one of those things is this inclinations shawl. Now I just finished this just the other day and blocked it so that I could have it to show you. All finished. I used Dream State, which is a worsted weight yarn by Spin Cycle Yarns. It's one of those like color shifting marley yarns that really mimics the beauty of hand spun yarn really nicely. I used 6 different colors and in these sort of teal and red tones. As you can see, it gets a bit more orangey here, and then some nice berry tones and some blues at the end. I really like how this turned out. It's a good size. That won't fit on the screen. I'll show you a picture later. But it seems to fit around my neck quite nicely. It sits nicely, and it's cozy. And this yarn is so beautiful and soft and drapey when it's blocked. I really enjoyed knitting this pattern. It's quite simple. It's a fisherman's rib, half fisherman's rib. And Andrea Maui has some new patterns coming out all the time using this fisherman's rib stitch. She has a new inclinations cowl, which I'm interested in. She also has a hat, the Straya hat, where she's doing a knit along in May, at the end of the month. So I plan on knitting a hat for the May knit along with Andrea Maui, and maybe you'll join me if you're a big Andrea Maui fan. And I'm thinking maybe we should have a knit along on our channel too. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below if there's something that you're thinking that you would like to knit this summer. I have some plans, which I'm going to share with you later, and maybe we can talk about that at the end of the episode. But anyway, I finished my inclinations shawl. It probably won't get a ton of wear because hopefully, fingers crossed, the weather will be getting nicer now, but it's finished and off the needles. I have a couple more finished objects, some smaller than others. As you know, I've been taking part in the Year of Dishcloths Knit Along, hosted by the Kitchen Sink Shop. Every month she sends out a newsletter with a new pattern, and this month was this pretty little wavy pattern. I believe it's meant to mimic the secret garden and the trellises and the vines of the flowers in the secret garden. Again, I just used some stash yarn, some Knit Picks Dishy, and I'm adding to my stack of dishcloths all the time. We're up to 5. We're getting there. By the end of the year, I'm going to have a whole slew of dishcloths, which will either go into my kitchen or will be given away to friends and family as needed. So that's another thing off the needles. And I don't know about you, but when I'm watching my kids or if I have waiting time at appointments and stuff, I find socks to be a great thing to work on. I cast on a pair of sport weight socks in some yarn from Knit Spin Farm. This is a dyer who makes both roving for spinning and self-striping sock yarns. And I've only just discovered a sport base by her just in time for that base to be discontinued by the mill. So this will probably be the only pair of socks that I make out of this base. But I really enjoy knitting them, and they were a great thing to have on the needles while I watched my kids at various activities, whether that was at soccer or at dance. I find I can just knit along on my DPNs on a sock without looking. So I made a sock tube and then stuck in the heels later. So this is a pair of sport weight socks knit out of Knit Spin Farm's Targhee sport weight base. I used 2.75 millimeter needles, and I cast on 56 stitches to make these socks. The yarn itself, I believe, is called Frosty. I can't remember. Isn't that awful? I'll try and include the colorway here. But it's meant to resemble like a farm in winter. So there is, let's go this way. This deep brown is meant to be like a pile of logs, and then a couple of different shades of grasses in the winter, some snow and a red for the barn, and then more snow, and then 2 different shades of the winter sky, all with these little flecks of white, which is meant to resemble falling snow. Aren't they pretty? I just love this yarn. I think the colorway is so pretty, and I'm really happy with how these socks turned out. I didn't use a contrasting color for the toes or the heels or the cuffs, partly because this is a sport base and I wanted to see how it would knit up. And partly because I just didn't have anything that was the right weight that would match or pair with it. So I just have these really pretty little stripy socks. And I do have a little left over that I'm trying to figure out what to do with. Maybe if I could find some more sport weight sock yarn, I could make another pair. So I'll keep my eyes peeled for something that would pair nicely. If you know of a sport weight sock yarn that you enjoy using, if it's striping or solid color, please let me know in the comments below. I have tried a DK sock yarn base, particularly one that's dyed by a local to me dyer, and I have enjoyed it. I really like this sport base too. So let me know if you know of some sport bases for socks, or if you have a favorite sock yarn that you like to use. That's another pair of socks off my needles. I have 2 projects on the go at the moment. Having just finished my shawl the other day and blocked it, I only have a couple of small things on the needles, and I will show you how I'm getting along right now. My outline tee that I believe I had started the last time we spoke, when last we met, it's grown quite a bit. Whoop. This is a t-shirt that is knit from the bottom up. So you start with the ribbing and you work your way up. And then around about the armpits, right about here, you split and you knit back and forth. So you create the V-neck in the front, and then you knit the back. And then when you're sort of at the end, you do this little dropped stitch detail to create, what did I think there was something funny there? To create this open work. And then the sleeves are picked up and some ribbing is added. So I've finished one sleeve and I just have one to go. This t-shirt has really worked up quickly when I've had the time to work on it, which, as I said, it's sort of been hit or miss whether or not I can find some time to just sit and knit and relax a little bit. I've been trying to do that most days, even if it's just for 5 or 10 minutes, just because I just need that grounding, sort of. Knitting gives me a chance to sort of collect myself, to calm my mind and my body a little bit, and just to rest. Do you find that too? Is that what draws you to knitting? For me, knitting is about making things, and I'm really looking forward to being able to have weather to wear this cute t-shirt in. But also it's about the process and that sense of sort of being centered. It's almost meditative, isn't it? It's nice. And that's one of the things I love about knitting. So this t-shirt just needs a sleeve and then it will be done. Hopefully the weather will be able to cooperate so I can wear it soon. I had to cool off. So I only have one more thing on my needles, and that is a sock tube. As you know, I've been trying to turn some tubes into socks, and my sock machines aren't quite set up yet. I'm still figuring out where everything is, I'll be honest with you. But I did have some sock tubes just sort of set aside for during the move, and I have started turning one of those tubes into a sock. So all I've done is this much ribbing, This is a tube that is knit out of some Knit Picks Felici, which I have to say works quite well on my sock machine and works well for the gentleman in my life. This sock will probably go to, I'm not sure, maybe either my husband or my brother, maybe, I'm not sure. But anyway, I'm just simply working on some ribbing because that was something easy I could grab and start. And that's literally all I have done on this project. I do enjoy working on the sock tubes. They seem to go so quickly, and then all of a sudden, before you know it, you have a pair of socks done, which is really fun. But all I have left is, on my t-shirt is a sleeve. That won't take me very long. And the socks I'll putter away at. So I was looking for my next project the other day, and I haven't had a lot of time to put into thinking about my knitting lately because I've just been generally distracted, as can happen, busy times of life. So I was sort of at a loss as to what to cast on next. And I was having a look at my stash as I was putting it away in my craft room. And I realized I have a lot of skeins of either speckled or variegated yarns that I just have not been gravitating towards. They're there, but I just haven't been knitting them. And some of them would make lovely socks, so that's fine. But I just have a lot of these skeins, that one skein at a time. And I was feeling like it was a bit of not a waste, but I just didn't know what to do with these skeins. So I had a little Google or a search through the Ravelry pattern library. And I came up with a couple of options, and I finally settled on one. I knew I wanted to use up a bunch of skeins if I could. And any leftovers I have will happily live in my crochet blanket, which I should really pick up again. Don't remind me. But I just thought it would be really nice to use up some of this yarn. And having this new yarn room was a bit of an inspiration. So I found a pattern called Free Your Fade. I'll pop a picture here. And it is a triangular shawl by Andrea Mowry. It has some fun brioche work at the beginning, and then it blends into some garter stitch, which would be great. Who doesn't love some garter stitch? It makes a really big triangular shawl, and I thought that would be a great project. A, to use up some of my single skeins of yarn, and B, to have just thrown over a chair in my office for when it's chilly or in the morning, just to have something to wrap around and be cozy in. So I dug through the stash and I found 6 skeins of yarn that I think will make a fade. Now, this whole fade thing, I know, has been going on for years, and I'm a little not late to the party. I have made 1 or 2 fades in the past, but I just thought this would be a nice sort of project to sort of cleanse my palette. It'll be something I can pick up and work on whenever. And let me show you the skeins that I found. I don't know about you, but I am a bit of a creature of habit, and I found that I have a lot of skeins in similar palettes, so that was great for this project. And it took me a little playing to find the order that I liked, but this is what I've come up with. I have some, this is all old stash, and by old stash, I mean some of these skeins have been in my stash for years. I have some hedgehog fibers. This is called Daydream. So I'm going to start with some pinks that have some flashes of greens. And I'm going to meld into this Yarn Ink Pixel Color, which just has tons of fun little speckles. And then the next yarn is going to be from a Dolly Parton yarn club that I took part in from Farmer's Daughter Fibers. This is called Wildflowers. So again, I'm picking up the pinks, the yellows, and now some blues and oranges that I think are all going to meld nicely together. The next skein of yarn was a gift from a friend called Crafternoon. It again is hedgehog fibers, this time a skinny single, so a single base. And it's got those oranges, blues, pinks, and now we're getting into some tealy greens or aquas. The next skein is a hedgehog fiber again. This one a sock yarn. It's called Monet. And finally, I have a skein of Legacy Fiber Arts in their steel-toed base, and this is called Jumping Jellyfish. So I'm going to insert a picture here of what these yarns all look like together. I think that, sorry, didn't mean to kick you. My apologies. I think they're going to make a really nice cohesive fade, and if they don't, well, how could they not? I think it'll be great. Anyway, this will be a project I think that I'll have on my needles for a while, and it'll be something nice to just pick up until a new project, a new shiny project, comes along and inspires me to try something different. There are some patterns that I've been keeping my eye out, and I'm looking forward to when they come out, particularly a pattern that mimics a Ukrainian blouse called a Vyshyvanka. So I'm looking forward to that pattern coming out, which should happen in June. And I have yarn in the stash. So excited to use my stash. So those are my plans. But of course I could always be derailed by a shiny new pattern. Does that happen to you? Do you get distracted? Anyway, I'm so glad that you could come and chat with me a little bit about knitting. It's so nice to be able to get into a routine again of having my beautiful yarn around me and having projects that I can think about and my knitting and finding time in my day to fit that in. I hope that you're finding time to fit in the things that you like to do too. I just finished recording and I forgot to tell you something really exciting that I wanted to share with you, so I'm going to tell you right now and then we'll skip to the end. I received an email a couple of weeks ago, maybe about a month ago, from the lovely organizers of the Prairie Fiber Festival. This is a yarn festival that happens in Lacombe, Alberta in the fall. This year it's happening September 17th, and I've been asked to teach a class. I'm going to be offering a quick little snappy class on afterthought heels. So how to measure for your afterthought heels, how to pick up the stitches, where to cut your knitting, and how to insert a heel. I'm super excited about it. I'm so glad to be attending the Prairie Fiber Festival again. It's a really lovely little event, and I hope that you can join me if you are in the Greater Lacombe area on September 17th of 2022 for a short and snappy class on how to make your own afterthought heels. I am delighted to be attending this event, and I hope I will see you there if you're in my class or not. If you see me in the marketplace, please come and say hi. We'll talk about it later. But signups for classes start June 1st, so start thinking about it if you're going to be around. I really hope you'll join me. I'm really glad you could join me here in the craft room. It'll probably change over time. I'm not sure that this is the setup I'll be sticking with. I have some pictures I want to put up in the wall behind me, and I have a dog who probably needs to go outside because he's being a bit noisy right now. So I'm going to wrap this up quickly before I take him for a walk and just tell you I'm so glad you could be here. I'm glad to welcome you to my craft room and to my channel, and I hope that in the next couple weeks you find time to do things that bring you a sense of peace and grounding. I know I plan on knitting a lot. Bye. I'll see you soon.